What did you say, Tim?
I don't have a piratey shirt.
We are live. Welcome to this episode of Thursday to Thrive. We welcome you. Come on in. This is kind of an impromptu kind of thing, but it is a special edition, trick or treat edition. And we're talking all things living trust today. You know, no matter where you are in your life, if you're just starting out or you're in the middle where you've got kids or those kinds of things, or you're ready more towards the sunset, wherever you are in your life, owning a current and properly funded living trust plan is critical. Oftentimes people say, I don't have children, so this is not relevant to me, or I don't own a home, so I don't need one, or I can put it off, I can do it later. And guess what? People who do it later often don't do it at all. They just don't do it at all. And that's why probate is almost like it's rampant. You can open up the page of almost any newspaper in the country. I know a lot of you don't know what a newspaper is. It's this old paper that we used to have where we got our news. Now we get it on YouTube and Yahoo. But we used to have to wait to receive the news when it showed up on our porch step every day. Well, if you open up one of those antique things, you're going to see a place where all the probates are listed. And folks, remember, if you don't own a current or properly funded living trust, all of your nosy neighbors and all of your friends and family can see all of your assets. Everything you own and everything you owe is right there, and anyone can see what you have. It is really not what we want to do. We don't want to leave our family in that precarious situation. We don't want to leave our assets exposed to creditors and predators. We don't even like talking about money to our friends and family when we're living. Why are we going to leave that there for them when we pass away? And remember, you might think it's costly, but it is way more costly to go into probate. That means all the assets you work so hard for to accumulate, or a majority of that will be gone into probate costs, attorney's fees, court filing fees, all these other fees, taxes and things. In addition to that, now you're going to have a lengthy process. Your money will be in money jail, and we just don't want to have that. So how do we avoid all of this? Well, this is the trick or treat episode. As you can see, I'm dressed up as a butterfly today. I know you might have missed it, but I am a beautiful butterfly. And we have two of my amazing team members. Today, I'll let them take a moment to introduce themselves. Go ahead, Tim. Can we hear you? Can we see you? We can see you.
There it goes.
I'm
Pirate Captain Tim, who, we don't have mute buttons on ships, so I'm not used to unmuting myself.
There you go. And what is your costume?
I'm a pirate captain.
You're obviously a pirate captain today. Oh, how could I miss that? Of course. An amazing Timmy, the pirate captain. And go ahead, Sharon, take a moment, introduce yourself.
I'm Sharon, and I am a New York Giant fan because we all know that I root for the underdogs, even in my pastimes.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Well, we got to take a poll here. Who has the best costume? Let's see. Are you going to vote for the beautiful butterfly, or is it the ship captain, or is it the underdog, which I think the underdog's probably the best because I loved Underdog. I'm going to date myself. But do you guys remember the Underdog cartoon? Have no fear. Underdog is here. That was my favorite. Underdog and Popeye were my favorite. I begged my mom for spinach. I wanted spinach. I just had to have the canned spinach. I don't know what I was thinking because it was terrible, but I forced myself to eat it because I loved Popeye so much. They were my superheroes. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go and Google it. I'm telling you, those are the best cartoons ever. But we are here today to talk about living trust, really my favorite topic. And sometimes people think that it's a morbid subject, but for me, it really is about leaving your legacy and your dynasty. And if you do this before things get a little sketchy, before your health deteriorates, this can really be a very fun and exciting exercise. if you work with one of our team, because we're going to hand carry you through the whole process. And we're going to help you create a video at the end and all these great things and really talk about that dynasty. So Popeye, the Sailor Man, yes, he is. And olive oil, olive oil had some, I'm not really sure, but she must have had something going on because Popeye just loved her. So let's talk about who we are. Inherit Guard. We actually are certified by Inherit Guard. This is a big, big deal. Inherit Guard is a nationwide attorney service. And we actually, here's my certification right here. And we are certified estate plan strategists. That's what we are. And it allows us to really help you to unpack the process. We're going to help you with the intake and really give you the questions that the attorney is going to ask you, demystify the process. It will provide you that white glove service. I know only 2 people are wearing hats because I didn't have a hat. So now I have a butterfly, Miss Noni. Don't you see my butterfly costume here? Come on. Timothy, I know Timothy is the bomb.com. So we're going to talk about.
She's just not that observant, I'll tell you.
She missed my butterfly. Oh my, how could you miss the butterfly? I mean, obviously I have the #1 costume. I don't know what else to tell you guys. So we're going to talk about these living trusts here and what this all means. So take it away, Tim. Oh, are you on mute?
Wait, no, I think
Every time. Every time.
Tim, do you want to take it away or you want me to do this one? Because
Well, I'm off to a terrible start, so why don't you take over?
all right. We build strong relationships together because we care about you and your family.
Yeah, absolutely. We totally do care about you and your family. This is by far one of my favorite things to do with my clients. It really is. I always say begin with the end in mind. Go ahead, Tim.
So yeah, what it is it, like Leo was saying, it's a giant network of lawyers, and what we do is we facilitate, the whole process from start to finish and beyond for anything you need. And one of the things that Inherit Guard provides us with is the over 100 attorneys in every state, which is amazing because when you need a lawyer, you need a lawyer, and we can facilitate that for setting up your estate plans. And it's just a great system to have. Like, it's something like one of the things that really drew me to this was just, dealing with lawyers is a pain. It's really nice to be able to use your time very efficiently when you're dealing with a lawyer. And that's what we do, because we're not a call center and we're here to help you through the whole process.
Absolutely. And I want to highlight a couple of things because this is really important. Many times people will tell me, I do have a living trust, and I ask them if we can review it, and they will send me a stack of maybe 10, 20, or a couple of dozen pages. A full estate plan will probably be over 150 pages, 150 to 250 pages or more. And this is really critical because Inherit Guard has been in business. The owner, Jerry Kane, has been in the industry 31 years. And he has never had an estate plan that has gone to litigation or has been contested. And the reason is because all that huge stack of papers, that's all the contingencies, that's all the things that is the supporting documents. Otherwise, even though you own a living trust, it may not be a full estate plan. So if something happens outside of the scope of that paperwork, now that's where all of the confusion comes in. That's where all the litigation comes in. That's where the hurt feelings happen. And we really want to avoid that. We really want to preserve. To me, it's about preserving those relationships when you pass away, that you're not leaving that bickering and fighting, that you're leaving something that circumvents that so your family understands your wishes. So go ahead and take it away. This next slide, Ms. Sharon.
You may not have heard of Inherit Guard, but they are one of the largest providers of estate planning services. You may not have heard of Inherent Guard because Inherent Guard works solely on referrals and word of mouth referrals. They don't do any paid advertising in newspapers, which still exist in some remote places. They don't do any ads in magazines. They don't do even any ads on social media. They don't work that way. They actually go by word of mouth, and they collaborate with professionals like us, financial professionals that have clients that can benefit and will benefit from the the trust planning. And that's the only way they get their referrals, is that way. They do not believe in any other kind of marketing, and they have a very large network of professionals like us that just bring them referrals and clients. And then if everybody knows that the best referral you can give somebody is to refer your family and friends and people you know from your network. That is the best compliment you can give any professional, is just to keep referring them. And Inherent Guard lives on that philosophy. And they've been doing it for a very long time, and they do a very good job. So that's really why you may not have heard about Inherent Guard, because nobody in your network has had the pleasure of having that company help you through this process.
Yeah, that's a great point. And there's a reason behind that. The philosophy is that they don't want the onus to be only on the attorney, because they understand if a client goes and sets up a living trust strictly with an attorney and without the supporting cast of a licensed, trained agent that's certified, now anytime the client has a question or a need, they're going to have to go back to the attorney and pay another $200, $500. Now, having us as your certified specialist, we can answer some of the questions or get the answers for you a little bit easier, maybe guide you to some places where you can get your hindsight questions answered. And so having that really makes for a beautiful collaboration. Now the client feels good about what they have. They don't feel like they're being nickel and dimed, and they walk away with a very robust financial plan and a full estate plan. Why do you need an estate plan? You know, you don't need one if you don't mind going through probate. If you enjoy litigation, taxes, penalties, all of your assets being public, all of your debts being public, then you don't need one. I say go ahead and do it. And the majority of people in the USA will elect that as their estate plan. Okay. And what will happen is your estate will be distributed not according to your wishes, not according to your intentions, not according to your dreams. They will be distributed according to a judge who doesn't know you or your family or anything about you. He's going to look at the estate. They will be accounted for. Everything will be accounted for, and your estate will be liquidated at a fire sale. How many of you have ever been to a probate sale? You might have seen that. You see the signs, right? We go and we pick up goodies for pennies on the dollar because it's a fire sale. Listen, the judge doesn't care how much you get for that estate. He doesn't care that antique was worth thousands or millions of dollars. They care about liquidating everything in a timely manner and then distributing whatever is left. That's right. I said distributing whatever is left, all after all of the fees, taxes, and all those things. So you don't need one, but if you're working so hard to accumulate your assets, doesn't it make sense to go that second step to protect those assets that you've worked so hard to accumulate? Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, it is really important to have an estate planning and to be prepared for this, because it will happen. Like, everyone's going to die and everyone's going to leave behind a bunch of stuff. And by having a plan for it, you can avoid all of this probate stuff, all of this just drama that you could leave behind in your wake. I mean, you know, it's really important, but it does take having a comprehensive financial plan to do it. And that's what we're here for, is to help everyone have that. And
We can
and
help you.
oh
Oh,
yeah,
sorry, Tim. Do you have more?
no. I was gonna pass it off to you.
Okay. We can help you build wealth and protect it, but without a proper estate plan, a large portion will be lost and you will create a huge nightmare for your family. And it's true. How many nightmares I have heard from clients, from friends, from family members who their wills, their estates have been in probate for 2-3 years, and by the time the fees are taken care of, there is no estate left. And if the person who had passed away knew this, they would be very disheartened because they put together this plan. Well, they put together their will and their wishes because they wanted these things to go to their family members. And I know for certain members of my family, they were very specific. They wanted certain things to go to certain family members because of the connection they had with that family member and the connection that that family member might have had to that item or that, whatever it was. And so, but that went out the window, like Leah said, that went out the window when everything went to probate. And let me tell you, I know from working with clients that probate destroys families. Deaths of people destroy families because people start arguing over things that really are not important when you really think about it. I always say I would rather have the person back than be arguing over their stuff. But that's not what happens because grief does funny things to people. And so grief makes people, I'm going to say it, grief can often make people irrational and start fighting over stuff that is so minute and minuscule in the grand scheme of things. So if you have an estate plan, it's all spelled out and every aspect is protected, and it will avoid probate, and it will avoid, like Tim said before, that family drama that can come from, having to go through probate and having somebody else, like Leah said, who doesn't know you, distribute your, what's left behind, as they say.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And I think this is a great time to share a story. Just toggling on to what you were sharing, Sharon, is that this is not just about your things. It's about preserving those relationships. Yesterday, I was helping a client with their living trust, their estate plan. They were telling me a story, and this story I've heard over and over again. Family, husband and wife divorce, and now they remarry. One of them remarries, and they never go ahead and set up that estate plan. They repurchase a home, they start a new family, and now they pass away unexpectedly because we never know what number we are in the line. And now that estate goes directly to the current spouse, oftentimes, excluding all of their previous relationships, their previous children or grandchildren. And that's so disheartening. And now you've left your family, your other children, with questions. Why wasn't I included? And people always look to fight and try to get those back. I've never seen anyone be able to get those assets back. If you don't have that estate plan, they're going to look at who is the closest heir, that spouse that was living. And oftentimes they're there in the house, their name's on the title, the house will probably go to them. And it's so tragic. They say 10% of your estate can go to probate. I'm going to really push back on that a little bit because it's not just the 10% financially. It is the back and forth going to court. It's the grief of having to hear the story over and over again, trying to petition the courts, trying to get all those records. I mean, the time and energy that you'll have to go through to fight through probate is exhausting. And it can take, like Sharon said, I've seen probates that have gone into a double probate, and now you're talking about 3, 4, 5 years or longer. All the while, the bills have to be paid, the taxes have to be paid, you still have to do all those things, and it really does destroy those relationships. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I was actually going to sort of tie back to what both you and Sharon were saying about the 10%, because it's not just that you're you're going to lose 10% to probate. It's your family is going to lose that 10% plus all of the drama around the process. And it's something that can be avoided, because even though it can be avoided, there's 52% of Americans over 55 who think passing away without an estate plan would be irresponsible. But still, there are those 52%. And I did the math on this last time. But that's like 222 million or so. Like, it's a lot of people.
Yeah, go ahead, Sharon.
So 67% of Americans who have no estate plan, 67% Americans have no estate plan in place. So 55% think it's irresponsible not to have one, and 67% don't have one. How crazy does that sound? It doesn't, I can't wrap my brain around these two percentages, especially because they really don't go together. People are acknowledging that it's probably irresponsible not to have one, but even more people, in percentage wise, don't have one. And my take on this, from talking to clients and working with people for as many years as I have, is this: death, or us not being here anymore, like Leah said, is something that we don't want to talk about. However, like Tim said, it is something that is unavoidable. We all know that we are born to die. Like, that is just the life, the circle of life. And rather than avoid the issue, and it's, in my opinion, professionally speaking and personally speaking, it is better to have the uncomfortable conversation before stuff happens than to wait for stuff to happen and then you have no say or control in any of it. It's not good for you. When you create an estate plan, think about how much peace of mind you and your family will have, because then you don't have to have any more of the discussions around your demise and your passing, because it's all set out. The only time you have to have these conversations again, and it will come up for a lot of you, I'm not going to say it won't, is when something about your family dynamic changes. And that will happen to most of us, hopefully, because hopefully we're going to be around for a while. But avoiding having an estate plan really isn't going to give you peace of mind. And avoiding the conversations around our departure really doesn't give us peace of mind, because it's still always in the back of our mind. What's going to happen if, when, how's this going to work out? I know for myself, and I encourage my clients to get involved in this process so that they can have peace of mind over the fact that they left their family in a good situation, and they're not going to have to deal with the drama that comes around when you're grieving and trying to deal with, putting together, the distribution of an estate in a fair way, because fairness goes out the window because everybody has a different definition of fair. I'll land it there.
Equal does not mean fair. Equal does not mean fair. But unless you put your wishes in a formal format, which is a proper, current, and properly funded estate plan, it's just a dream. It is absolutely just a dream. It's not just about your assets. It's leaving your intellectual property. It's leaving your story. It's leaving your rationale behind how you are distributing those assets. 64% of Americans have never discussed their estate plan with their advisor. They've never asked for it. And truly, most advisors, just so you know, I'm going to show my little certificate here because I'm super proud of this, are not certified. We are a certified estate planning strategist. We are here to help you. And most advisors are not certified. They don't have a platform, access to a platform like this that we do. So they don't discuss it. And in my mind, it's really our fiduciary responsibility to have these discussions with our clients. So if you're a professional and you're talking to your clients about their wealth, you're helping them make money, you're helping them save money, you're helping them buy and sell real estate, it makes sense to have a resource that you can refer to. So if you're a professional like that and you would like to know how you can get involved, we'd love to chat with you also. Right now is the time to have the discussion. We never know what place we are in the line. Some of us have the gift, and I'm going to say this is a gift of knowing our demises sooner rather than later. They've had terminal illness diagnosis. They have something that is reducing, bringing them closer to the sunset. Unfortunately, many of us don't know. Kobe Bryant had no idea that that was his last day, that he was going to be kissing his family goodbye when he got onto that helicopter. You know, people go to bed at night and they don't wake up the next morning. I understand these are hard conversations, but unless we have these hard conversations now, you're going to leave your family in a complete and total disaster that can go on for years or even decades. It's all you, Tim.
And yeah, part of that, and one of the good parts about being with Inherit Guard is since they've seen so much, they know the questions to ask. And I mean, it's hard questions, but you have to, ask, have you and your spouse discussed what would happen if one of you were suddenly unable to make decisions or you passed away? I mean, this happens. It happens. I'm not going to get too much into that one. But also it's like, if something happened to you, who would you trust to raise your kids and make decisions on their behalf? It's like, who do you want to pass on, like, who do you trust to pass on your teachings to your kids? Like, who, because you won't be there. And do you have someone legally designated to make medical or financial decisions for you if you're unable to do so yourself? If you happen to slip into a coma and have bills to pay, you need someone that can take care of that. And because you don't want to have some family member come in and say, no, I want that money. It can get messy. And what plans do you have for your home and property if you were to become ill or pass away? If there's, some adult kid living at your house, do you want to make sure they can still live there for a little bit of time? Or do you just want them to sell off the house immediately? Like, if you have multiple kids and you're in California, that house is worth a lot of money. And if you don't designate what's going to happen to that house, it's going to be a fight. And it's really important to make sure you've planned ahead for that, or it will, like we've been saying, go back into probate, and it will be a huge fight for years amongst your descendants. And Sharon also has a bunch of other things you need to consider too.
Yep. You also need to consider have you considered what will happen to your business if you were suddenly unable to manage it? If you're a business owner and you're suddenly unable to manage it, you really need to make a plan for what's going to happen. And I can tell you, I know somebody that I went to high school with. He was a sole proprietor. He was a masonry, and he had a business where he did backyards, and he did, the concrete and all the, built gazebos. And all of a sudden, he loved to mountain bike, and he went mountain biking one morning and had a massive heart attack, hit a tree, and died from the heart attack before anybody could find him in the woods. I don't share that story because I want to make you sad. I want to bring reality to your life. His wife was left, and his daughter, they have a daughter who was a sophomore in college. And they were left to deal with everything. And she had to figure out what to do with his business because he didn't have a partner. He was a sole, he was a one-man band. I don't know how he did it, given the type of business he had, but she had to figure everything out. And it was a lot for her. I grew up with both of them, so I know how much it was for her. And so if you are a business owner, you really need to consider, what's going to happen to my business? How is it going to be managed? Are the doors going to be closed? Am I going to have somebody in succession? If you have a partner, how much is your partner going to take over, and how much is your family going to get for the years that you've invested into that business? Because that is something that I've seen be a real issue with business owners that I know, that if one partner dies, does the other partner get the whole thing, or does the family of that partner that's now deceased get it? So it's really something you need to consider. Do you have a will or trust in place? And is it up to date with your current wishes? Let me tell you something, people. If your wills are not up to date with your wishes, and it has to be a signed legal will. If you have a will in your under your couch cushion with your wishes, that does not supersede the one that you've done with a professional. So just know that now. So because it can be there, and your family can enjoy your handwriting and your thoughts, but it will not be put in place. That will cause it to go into probate and have arguments over it. And when it goes into probate, the one that's going to be, carried out is the one that's been done with the legal experts. So just be aware of that. And do you have a plan for long-term care or assisted living if it should become necessary? Because let me tell you something, long-term care and assisted living, that stuff's expensive. And I have seen it destroy families' financial situations, because assisted living can be up to $5,000 a day in some locations and some places. And sometimes it's upwards of tens of thousands of dollars per month. It's crazy to me how much money taking care of ourselves and taking care of our family takes. And if we don't think about it while we're healthy and alive, we're certainly not going to be able to do anything about it when we become incapacitated, or God forbid, are no longer here. So there is that. And then, have you thought about how you would like your legacy to be remembered or honored? Because that very thing, how you want to be remembered and how you want to be honored, those are part of your wishes. And that has to go into your living trust or your will. Because if you don't specify how you want to be remembered and honored, your family takes control of that. And we all know, we all have that family member that thought they knew us and thought they knew what we would like. And they always had it the exact opposite of what we were about. So make sure that those wishes are put in your plan.
Absolutely. Great points. I want to highlight also something that Tim kind of alluded to, and that is, if you own a business, I think Sharon touched on this also, or you have an estate and you say, I'm just going to put the house in my kid's name, or I'm just going to add my child's name onto the house or the business, even if they're a minor child or they are an adult child, you got to understand, you might avoid probate, but you could be walking right into a brick wall when it comes to taxes. You might getting them tripped up into a capital gain situation. You might be mitigating things that you could benefit from. They could benefit from financially if you are putting their name onto it. And at the same time, exposing you and your business to whatever they get involved with financially. If they get into a lawsuit, if they've got creditors and predators. So just simply putting someone else's name on the business or on your estate is really not wise. And remember, we are not attorneys, we're not CPAs, so this is not tax or legal advice. We're simply giving you some questions that you should ask yourself. So here's what happens without a proper estate plan. We've all seen the nightmares. We've all heard about it. We've all heard of Aretha Franklin, who put her whole holographic will underneath her sofa cushions. We've all heard about Prince was an incredible musician, and he passed away with a multi-million-dollar estate. And this is something that is so poetic justice, is he did not want to leave his estate to his siblings. That's the reason why he did not. That's what I heard or read. That was the reason why he did not create a living trust. At the end of the day, guess who received his assets? Half went to his production company. The other half, after all the court fees, after all the probate, all of the creditors and predators, all the liquidation and fire sale, what was remaining was divided between his production company and his four remaining siblings. He had 5 siblings. One had passed away. I mean, just really a nightmare. We think about it like Humpty Dumpty. This old nursery rhyme, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Well, if you fail to plan, to me, I call that not just Humpty Dumpty, but that's really a party foul. That's a catastrophic failure. You've led your family into really something that will destroy those relationships, but it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't have to be that way. Go ahead, Tim.
And when you pass away or fall off a wall and have a great fall, or other way around, basically your estate is going to fall into one of 3 categories. And those 3 are you pass away without any legal documents, your prince, your the other one you mentioned that I can't remember. Thank you, Aretha Franklin. Yeah. Though she had some documents, but then they kept finding more documents. That was a fun one for there. Or you pass away with just a will, or you have a trust to manage your estate. And the outcomes, what happens after that for each of those 3 is very different and will be very heavily taxing on your family, depending on which one you choose. And Sharon has more on this.
So you've heard us say a lot about this already. Leah has said it a few times. Tim has said it a few times, but you cannot say this too much. The probate illusion is that assets titled in just your name go through probate. Okay? Probate is when all of your estate and anything that you are associated with in some way or another go through probate, unless you have the living trust that delineates exactly how you want things to go. If you don't, you have given up control to the masses. And I say the masses on purpose because, like we've said, probate, it's public, people. You can go, I know that newspapers don't exist, but you can go to newspapers. There are sections in a newspaper that it's probate, and it's listed everybody's business in the probate. You can find it online. You can chat GBT it. You can AI it. It is public knowledge. I, for one, do not want my family stuff out there in the public. And I have had family members that did not understand the whole idea of probate or how to protect their assets from becoming a probate nightmare, because that's really what it is. And see, we can help you, grow your money. We can help you protect your money, and we can help you distribute your money in effective ways, but only if you put it in the right packaging. And estate planning is the right package. Estate planning is how you protect your money and your family and your assets and everything once you're not here. It's about protection. Because, and I know you don't want to talk about it. I know you don't want to think about it. But reality is it's going to happen. So think about it, talk about it, and then put it aside until you're forced to think about it again, whether it's a change in your life, a change in your family dynamic, or somebody passes away. And then you're forced to deal with what their estate plan says.
Yeah, totally. And we're really here for you to soften those edges. These conversations can be difficult, but going through us, we're really going to hand carry you, give you that white glove service, and really help to demystify the process of owning a current and properly funded living trust. Probate is big business. You know, when I started really helping my clients with this intake process, I've been doing this for over a decade, almost 20 years. Living trust was something that I was always fascinated by. I've been helping my clients with it for many years. And when I first started, I was always baffled because I would talk to attorneys and many of them would tell me, oh, they don't need a living trust. They can just write down a will. It doesn't matter. The courts are going to make you challenge it anyway. And I didn't know any better. So I thought, okay, well, maybe they know better. But what I came to realize, and I've had attorneys who have told me this, literally have said this to me, probate is big business. Let me say that again. Probate is big business, and many attorneys bank on you not putting together a current and properly funded living trust because they make way much more money on the back end. $1.5 billion goes to attorneys. That's a big number. Millions go to other appraisals, probate costs, fees. There's fees on top of fees, newspapers, and all these other things that we really don't have to expose ourselves to. And then really, again, I can't say this enough, is that it will destroy the integrity of the relationships. Without those instructions, your family has to guess what was important to you. They have to assume a lot of things and make decisions on what they believe you would have wanted. How much better is it if you actually put those wishes in a formalized document? Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, and not only is probate business, but it is slow. Like we've been saying, like Sharon's been saying, you can go pick up a newspaper and turn to the classified section. It'll be in there, and it'll talk about various other probates and like properties that are up on probate, and they're making announcements 2-3 years out. I mean, it goes on for a long time. And we talked about attorney fees, but there's also other fees. There's executor fees, there's appraisal fees, there's more attorney fees, and bond permit premiums. And there's plenty of people that are going to be getting paid with the money that you didn't allocate and didn't, properly plan for. I mean, it's a lawsuit you file against yourself with your own money for the benefit of your creditors. It's something you want to avoid, and that's why we're here to help.
Probate takes time, like we said. It can take 6 months, it can take 2 years, and it varies from state to state. So please, if you have a relative that lives in New York and you have another relative that lives in California, and the relative in California is the one that passed away, or vice versa, you can't go by the laws of your own state. And you can't ask people to expedite the process based on your state's laws, if your state's laws you see are more favorable. There's nothing that you can do to expedite probate. It just, and because it's such a lucrative business, that's part of the reason why I'm here, where our team is here to tell you the truth and to pull back the curtain. So they're in no rush. to get your stuff solved and give your family peace of mind, or be able to put this behind you, because the longer it takes, the more they make. So that's just a true fact. So by having a living trust, you take all of this guesswork and all of this time and you give it back to your family, because otherwise they're reliving the grief of your death and everything that probate is bringing into their life over and over again on a daily basis. And it shouldn't be about that. I don't think any of us really want that. You want to leave your family with money or memories, or do you want to leave them with both? And do you want those memories to be the positive memories that you had together, or do you want them to be remembering all the strife they went through when you passed away, because it became this nightmare marathon of getting your estate settled?
Absolutely. And it's not just the guesswork that you're leaving, but they're having to go through that agony. That's the memory they're going to have of you. It's not the memory of the beach trips and the picnics and the birthday parties. They're going to have to agonize over and over again every time they go to court, every time they receive a notice, every time they have a conversation. They're going to remember the anguish of having to go through this probate process. So here's the bottom line. You want to ask yourself, do you have a current and properly funded living trust? Probate is public. There's no privacy. It's easy to contest. Now it's put in the front page. Well, it's not the front page, but it's put in the back page of the newspaper, and anyone can look and see. In fact, there are people that are they call them ambulance chasers. They go on and they just start filing privacy conditions. They just claim that they have some kind of connection to your estate, and they ask for part of that. And guess what? Whether they receive it or not, it's one more thing that has to be addressed. It's one more contingency that has to be negated before your assets are distributed properly to your estate and your rightful heirs. Don't do that to your family, folks. It really does. It's so easy to have this completed. And I love what Sharon was saying too, is you might accumulate this wealth and protect and distribute and transfer it. We have to put the wrapper of the transfer on that. Having a current and properly living trust plan is like putting the wrapper over everything that you've worked so hard to accumulate.
And if you thought there couldn't be any more problems with probate, you'd be wrong, because there are more. I mean, your minor children could end up in foster care for 1 to 2 months if you haven't specified someone that can legally take care of them. Sure, you might know someone who can take care of them, but you need someone who can legally take care of them, and has that authority. You'll be unable to access your assets if you're a business owner, a contractor. You have to pay your employees every week in some places, like by law. And if you're incapacitated and there's no one able to access the funds of your business and pay out your employees, that could lead to some trouble. Like, even more, if you have one employee that feels like, I didn't get paid on this week, I can sue. It's going to be more and more problems that can be avoided if you have someone that can take over for you and get those paychecks out and just avoid all that hassle. And plus, you control what actually happens with, it aligns with your wishes, which is very, very important. And Leah is going to go on with why you should avoid probate and get a trust.
Why should you avoid probate and get a trust? So we've already talked about all the things that happen if you have a trust. Well, guess what? There's a simple solution. You can avoid this probate process. You can protect your assets. You can have trust. The trust helps you to retain control. Even though you're putting your assets into a trust, as long as it's considered a revocable living trust, you still own those assets. You still control those assets. Actually, you don't own them. The trust owns them. You know what they say? own nothing, control everything. That's what this is doing. Now you're in control of the assets. You can still buy and sell your assets. You can decide that you want to make any changes to it. It's still yours. You have the control. You can have a joint trust. You can have two people that are in charge of that. You can have a successor trustee. Your successor trustee is the one that takes over after you become incapacitated or after you pass away. They're the person who carries out your wishes and the distribution of your assets. They make sure that you have an orderly distribution. And remember, fair does not mean equal. Maybe you have a child, a grown child, who has no interest in your business. They don't want anything to do with it. But you have another relative who does know your business and wants to take over your business. Well, unless you put that in a formalized format, that's not what will happen to your business. If you have somebody you intend to leave it to, it has to be in a formalized document. Otherwise, what happens is your assets will be just distributed in any way, form, or fashion. But putting it into a proper estate plan so that you avoid the probate, you can distribute your assets in any way that you decide, even if that is an unequal distribution, even if it means leaving the business to one party and leaving a very small amount of liquid dollars to another. You can leave unequal distribution as long as it is in a current and properly funded living trust. And here's the benefits of the trust. It saves you time. You can normally have a trust completed within just a couple of weeks. Now, making the decisions, you might need a little bit more time. Often clients tell me, oh, that's a little bit too fast. I got to think about this. I got to make sure that this is really what I want. So you may need a little bit of time to process it, but we can have our part done in just a couple of weeks. Now it's private. It's your secret. You keep those documents. However, please don't keep those documents under your mattress. Okay. There's a proper way to protect those assets and to where do you keep them? How do you keep them in a good, safe place? And now your wishes are in a legalized format. And so you have a way to reconcile that. You have your trust makers. You have people that have the instructions of what you want. It's harder and more difficult to contest it. And because it's private, it really is rarely contested. And when you have a proper living trust, it makes it even much more difficult to contest. The rules make it harder to contest, and it's less stressful. Imagine the stress of owning these assets, amassed a fortune, and you have no succession plan, you have no living trust. That's a big burden to carry. Well, we can help you to alleviate that by helping you through the process of establishing your current and properly funded living trust plan. So do you have an estate plan? Do you have are you going to go through probate? Remember, probate, most estates will go through probate, takes 6 to 18 months. In California here, I'm going to say it takes more. What I've seen is years. And during that time, the mortgage still needs to be paid. The taxes still need to be paid. The lights need to be kept on. You get restricted assets to the account. They can't get access to all of your accounts. Even though you have money, it doesn't mean that they can access, your beneficiaries or heirs can access those bank accounts. You don't have any control of the outcomes. You decide. And 33% of families feel very conflicted and stressful. It's expensive, it's public, and it does not give proper protection. Having a trust, it's reliable. It can be distributed quickly. Your assets are distributed quickly. You got immediate access. They have immediate access to your account so they can pay the bills, keep the lights on, pay the taxes. Because imagine the taxes not being paid, and now suddenly your property is subject to a tax lien or a tax sale. That can be a total disaster. And it's able to be quickly settled. All of your debts, all of your mortgages, you control the outcome. It's harder to contest. There are some attorney fees that may be required, but it's a protection for your heirs, a protection for your legacy and your dynasty. What is the dynasty that you want to leave? So here's a solution. We have an incredible solution. Again, I'm going to hold up my certification because I am certified for the Trust Guard Plus plan. Hey, that is a big deal. We can be able to help you through this process And what does it include? It's a complete trust package. Like I said, these documents are about 150 to maybe 250 pages. That's how you can quickly determine if you have a full, complete estate plan, or do you own a will or a simple trust. A simple trust is not comprehensive. It's not going to have all the supporting documents. You get professional assistance. You're going to sit with us. We're going to help you through the intake. We're going to guide you to what is going to be needed and asked of you from the attorney. It includes a mobile notary. So once you receive your documents, we order that mobile notary. They come out to you, whether it's your home, your place of business, and that's all included as part of the package. So wherever you live, we're operational in all the states in the U.S. It includes transferring the deed. This is what we call funding the trust. Think of a trust like an empty box. So if you have these documents and you don't put anything into it, you just have a very sexy pile of documents. If nothing is ever put in there, the trust is never funded, now your estate will still go through probate. So we have to fund the trust. We got to make sure the bank accounts are put in there if that is what is recommended, and any other asset that you have. It includes a beautiful binder with all the tabs. It's really nice. It looks very, very professional. And then it also includes the meeting with an attorney. Folks, a lot of people try to do it yourself. I see all of these do-it-yourselves all over the place, and they're just a few $100s. Those are the ones that I see go through probate the most frequently. And this blindsides your heirs because they think, well, they had a living trust. Well, they might have had a living trust. Listen, those are the things that you just kind of fill in the blanks. No one's ever made sure and ensured that it is properly funded, that the language is legal, that the language is current. And so even though you have the documents, it is not current, it's not proper, it's not funded, and now your estate has to go through probate. So avoid those kinds of services if you can. If you want to do it yourself, we do have a do-it-yourself plan. I've never seen anybody complete those. That's the other part. They might just be just a few $100s, but this process takes quite a few steps. Remember, we're going to hand carry you through the process and give you that white glove service. So can you qualify for the Trust Guard plan? Plus, there are some qualifications. I'm not going to go through all of this, but just understand we can help you to qualify for these programs. We do offer them at a discounted rate. It's a full estate plan, includes all of our assistance on the front end. It also includes your draft. It includes a time with the attorney. It includes your final documents. It also includes the mobile notary, the binder, and everything else you've seen. Once your estate is properly funded, then we offer the final step, which is a meeting with you and your successor trustees and your heirs. We can have a little family gathering if you want, so that everybody is on the same sheet of music and they know what their roles are, what their responsibilities are. Not that you have to disclose everything that you are distributing, but if you want your successor trustee, your power of attorney, your medical directive team to be there, we can offer to go over that. And I strongly suggest that. And then make sure that you've recorded your wishes, which is writing out your story, leaving a video. And if you're camera shy, maybe you want to have it just your audio, or maybe you want to hire someone to do an AI video for you, which if you want a referral for that, I can help you with that too. So this is why we can help you to qualify for this plan. I would say most of our clients do qualify for the Inherit Guard Trust plan, which, like I said, is at a discounted rate. You get all of this for about $2,000. If you went direct to the attorney, most of these plans are going to be $3,000 to $5,000. We're able, because of the volume, because of Inherit Guard's incredible authorization, they allow us to be able to offer these plans at an affordable price. You can make payments. And so if this is important to you, if this sounds something that resonates with you, we'd love to chat with you. You can reach out to any one of us. We're working as a team here. Any one of us can help you through the process. So Tim, why don't you go ahead and share how people can reach out to you?
So everyone can reach me. I'm on LinkedIn and at timjkeller87@gmail. And I will also be hosting Sing Your Heart Out tonight at 6 on LinkedIn as well. And Pacific Standard Time. And anyone can hit me up then.
I love Sing Your Heart Out. I will be there. So if you are not trick-or-treating, or even if you are and you want to join us via mobile, it's a lot of fun. What is our topic tonight, Tim?
We're going to stick with the Halloween theme. I actually know a little bit about this one, so should be a little better than last week.
It'll be fun. And Sharon, you made a lot of fans and friends here. How can people reach you? Where do they contact you?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Thank you, everybody who joined us live. Thank you, Team Replay. And if you know somebody who can benefit from this information, please share it out. Help us expand our reach. Let's all make this world a better place for all of us and our families and our legacies. How people can best reach me right now, I would say, is LinkedIn or Facebook. My website is under, changes. So the best place is LinkedIn or Facebook. And I just want to add one other quick point, Leah, that's very important. When you're part of the estate plan is deciding if you have children, who you want to, take over parenting if you're no longer here to do it. But the other part that people don't realize is by having your estate go into probate, besides your children winding up in foster care for a month or two or longer, the person that's responsible for taking over your parenting responsibilities won't be able to access the money that you're leaving behind to help them raise your children. So that's an important point to remember too.
Absolutely. Great point. So that's going to do it for us for this Thursday to Thrive. I hope you have a spooky rest of your day. You can see obviously, I'm a butterfly. Tim is the ship captain, and Sharon is the underdog, the New York Giants. And I think that's amazing. Remember, your wealth today should be your dynasty tomorrow, but only if you have a current and properly funded living trust. It's absolutely the most critical part of any financial plan. You can accumulate this wealth. You can have great investments. You can own and amass a fortune. But if you don't own a current and properly funded living trust plan, it's going to go probably right into probate and end up in the hands of people that you did not intend to. So that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much. We're here every other week on our Thursday to Thrive, where we talk about all the things basics for living trust. So thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you on Sing Your Heart Out tonight. Thank you, everybody who joined us live, and thank you all, Team Replay.